I can't put stuff on the door because it's not my door.
Yeah.
That's a rented door.
Welcome back to Can You Not? I'm Joe. I do movie things.
I'm Brian, so do I.
I'm Amber. I did all my homework today.
Yay!
I think I passed my test. Oh my god, today was so good.
To quote Kermit the Frog.
Yay! He waved his arms around.
And I feel like I got robbed today in the best way possible.
And can you explain why?
Because I went into the store, and the store is called Zoomies, if you've ever heard of it. And Zoomies is an awesome store if you're a skater or wear street clothes.
Or like stickers.
Yeah, or like stickers. I have this Bernie Sanders sticker, which I actually went in there to get, and I left with a Bernie Sanders sticker, 2 t-shirts, and a pair of shoes.
And it's not just any Bernie Sanders sticker. It's Bernie Sanders on a skateboard
yeah.
with his logo on the front
Pretty
of it.
dope. Yeah. But instead of spending $3, it was like $103. So.
Actually, did you know that Bernie Sanders has a podcast now?
Really?
We should probably give a shout out to, you know, our more wet behind the ears competition. I listened to an episode where he was interviewing Bill Nye. It was awesome.
Bill Nye and Bernie Sanders were in the same place at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Or at least they were communicating online together.
Was there an explosion?
It was an explosion of audio. Awesome.
When they communicated.
And Bernie Sanders' podcast didn't even sponsor this episode, and we're blowing them. So I hope you check out.
Wait, what are we doing
what to them?
I want you to repeat what we're doing to Bernie Sanders' podcast.
Go check it out is what we're saying. Or what I'm saying anyway. Anyway, our topic today, as chosen by Amber J, is anthropology. And Amber, can you explain to the listeners who may not know what anthropology is?
My understanding of anthropology is just the study of people. So, God, I didn't know you were going to ask me to do this.
And if there's one thing we all know about, it's people.
Anthropology.
Yeah, like
Not the clothing store. Not the store.
Yeah, don't do that part.
Anthropology
Almost
is
got that.
the study of various aspects of humans within past and present societies. There's social anthropology, cultural anthropology, which is the study of norms and values in societies. Linguistic anthropology studies how language affects social life. Biological or physical anthropology studies the biological
So let me tell you, we have a
development
great
of
show for you
humans.
today on anthropology. I have an interest in learning a lot about the whole idea of programming what your fetus might turn out to be. Like, essentially...
Programming is an interesting word you chose.
Well, I mean that in a very futuristic sense. Obviously, programming I use in a very light sense given the technology we have now. But it seems increasingly like we'll have more and more potential to be able to control a lot of aspects of what future children could look like, and maybe even down to their personality traits and what they're skilled at in terms of intelligence and stuff like that. It's absolutely crazy. But one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was I was reading this article called Parental Virtue by Rosalind McDougall, and in it she talks about this lesbian couple in 2002 who decided to have a child. And the thing is, both of these women are deaf, and they specifically sought a sperm donor with a family history of deafness in order to maximize the chance that their baby would be deaf too. So here's just a paragraph from the article. Deschisnow and McCullough, that's the two women's names, see deafness as a minority cultural identity rather than a disability. As the journalist who reported the story writes, the couple identify as deaf with a capital D, part of a community whose defining and unifying quality is American Sign Language. The couple sought to have a child who shared this cultural identity. They wanted a child who was, quote, the same as us, and believed that they could be better parents to a deaf child. Before the birth of their son, they insisted that they would love the child even if he was able to hear, saying that a hearing baby would be a blessing, and a deaf baby would be a special blessing. Their project was ultimately successful with the birth of Galvin, whom testing at 3 months of age showed to have profound hearing loss in his left ear and only residual. I'm so terrible at this. Residual hearing in his right ear. What do you think about this? Is that like a good thing to do to program deafness? Or not really program, because this was just
that's
them
not
taking a
programming.
chance.
I kind of have a weird opinion about the whole programming thing.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that is an attempt, and don't take this the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
but for white people to like secure or save the white race.
We don't know, that
what I mean?
These people are white.
No, I mean like the whole like idea of like when your baby is inside, you can control the.
Certain people have thought of using that for eugenics and stuff like that.
And that's a one art debate that Shelby and I have gotten into. But deaf culture is a different thing in the fact that like a lot of deaf people don't see it as a disability. Like it's really a culture. Like I personally feel like if you can't hear, you are missing something, but they don't see it as they're missing anything. Mm-hmm. Like because they have a way of communicating with each other, and that's different, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like it's weird to do that, but I mean, if that's their culture, then why not?
Yeah. And again, I want to stress that they didn't program the baby to be deaf. They just increased their likeliness that the child would be deaf, and it was successful. What do you think, Amber?
The first thing that I want to say is I think it's interesting that I don't know where that took place, but that there was a lesbian couple who are deaf because I was at Lesbian Festival in Ohio. There's a lesbian festival in Ohio, y'all, and I was there last September. And within the Lesbian Festival, which isn't a big festival, I think there are maybe 1,000 people, probably less, if I had to guess, if I'm remembering right. There is a specific deaf camp, like, in the Lesbian Festival. In the smallish group of, women, they specifically have a deaf camp. Like, that's a... Lesbian deaf people is a community that is recognized enough that they gave them their own camp. So that's kind of interesting, and that's a thing, I guess, and I didn't... That's 2 places now I've seen that. It's interesting. And I don't... Seeking out a sperm donor who has the same characteristics that you want, and then having a child that way, I'm totally cool with that. I don't know. And even, like, I don't know. That as far as culturally... As things go culturally, I guess. And they weren't adopting, but that seems the same or similar. I might be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. That seems similar to me as like a black couple seeking out a black baby to adopt. Right. Mm-hmm. Or like, or like how if a white couple adopts a black baby, then the black baby is going to miss part of what it is to be. Exactly. Like, you're not going to be raised by other black people who have had similar experiences of you in terms of race. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a certain disconnect there. And I feel like it's kind of similar to that. So I don't think it would be bad either way, because, as far as adoption goes, you're adopting a baby. Hooray! Baby has family now. But as far as seeking out somebody who you will have a better connection with, I think that makes sense.
I think it's a good thing to try and make it so that your child will have the best life that you think that they will have. If you think your child being deaf and you being able to relate with your child that way will allow it to have a better life than it was if it was a hearing child, then I don't see anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But I personally, even though like I said, deaf people don't see it as they're missing anything. Mm-hmm. I personally wouldn't want to do that. Like, I would want my child to be able to experience everything. Like, you can still experience deaf culture and be a hearing person. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they allow... It's not the same as, like, black or white. You know what I mean? Like, you can experience deaf culture and being a hearing person because, I don't know.
I guess that's the question I wanted to pose too, is just like, do you think that they are deliberately disadvantaging their future. Because like, what if it was a blind couple? What if a couple wanted to have a child with a learning disability because they also had learning disabilities? Like, where do you draw the line, and at what point are you actually saying, I am intentionally going to give this future offspring of mine a harder time in life? Like, I guess where does the morals come into that?
I mean, again, please correct me if I say something horrible, but couldn't you, if you really dig into it, couldn't you say the same thing about, like, you know, it's harder to be a black person than it is to be a white person. There are more disadvantages for black people. So if you really want to get crazy, you could say, like, okay, you know, I'm not, clearly, but what if a black family said, we want our child to have, you know, the very best statistically possible life, so then they start adopting white kids. You know what I mean? Like,
That's one of the things that Shelby and I kind of debated about, was we were talking about whether or not it's wrong for parents to do that to their children. I mean, the idea of, like, changing your child's DNA, like, while it's in the womb, really wasn't about changing race. It was more about, like, okay, I want my baby to have blue eyes or black hair, or, you know, I want them to be taller so they can play basketball. But the idea of, okay, if I'm a black parent and I know that I'm gonna have a black child, and my child is gonna have a harder life, and I have the option for my child to be a white child, you know what I mean? Is it wrong for me, knowing what society is going to do to my black child, to make that child white? You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a debate that Shelby and I had. Now, the deaf culture thing is completely different, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are similarities. I mean,
There are
obviously there are really
similarities.
big differences. But I mean, as far as your original question, it's like, I think once you become a burden on other people purposefully, that's when things start to not work. So, like, deaf people, like non-hearing people, are able to make a living, and they don't see themselves as disabled.
Right.
So I think that's fine. Like, they're totally have a culture, like, they have a way of communication I don't think having that, seeking out to have this deaf child is a bad thing. Same with blindness. Like, as far as, like, I mean, I don't know if reaching in and making a child blind would be great, but if there's, I don't know anything about blindness either.
Yeah,
if there's, like, a
sounds like
culture
that.
or that kind of thing within it, then it makes sense. Oh, we're running out of time.
I know. We could
really
have talked about this.
Want to continue for my topic?
If you want to forfeit your topic to this
I
one.
can completely forfeit my topic to that.
Really?
I am so ready to forfeit my topic.
What was your topic going to be?
My topic was, let's just forfeit it.
Okay. All right. Well,
This
this is a rare occurrence.
That doesn't happen very often.
We'll continue with another 10 minutes.
Okay, so anyway, my thought was going to continue to be, but once you get to the point where, depending on, like, mentally disabled people, depending on how severely disabled these mentally disabled people are, if you have people who need help all the time, or you know, their parents they need to take care of them, or they have to have caretakers, and you have two people like that who are a couple and they want to have a disabled couple, I think that's where you draw a line. Just because if they are not able to take care of this child, and the child is not able to take care of itself, then who's going to take care of everybody, you know?
I mean, but you could say that about other physical things too. Like, if both of the parents are in a wheelchair, right? And they want their child to not be able to walk. You know?
But people in wheelchairs can still take care of themselves.
Yeah, they can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is kind of the idea of missing something. You know what I mean? Your child is never going to hear like other children are going to hear. Even though you'll be able to communicate with your child the same, your child won't be able to communicate with other children the same.
I mean, I'm sure there are deaf schools and things.
Oh, yeah, there are deaf schools. I mean, like we said, there's a culture built around deafness. There are probably cultures built around blindness and people that can't walk, you know what I mean? People that can't talk even. But
yeah. I guess, do you think there's any difference? Because, like, when you think about the disadvantages, like you said, if you, quote-unquote, programmed, like, a black child, you know, a lot of the hardships that child would face would be very societal and systemic and maybe economic.
That was the debate kind of that we had was there's a big difference between something that is physical, something you can count, like that child won't be able to see or hear, but I mean race is like it's a social thing. It's a social
and that's
construct,
the kind of stuff that you're trying to change, and that's kind of something else that I was thinking about just while we were talking about this in the last 10 minutes is getting black people all choosing to have white babies that doesn't seem like a good answer.
No, it doesn't.
That seems like a really bad answer.
That's a terrible answer too. But I mean, as a parent, it's your job. You know what I mean? To make a decision for what you think will be best for your child in the long run. I would never do that to my child. Yeah. That's not something I would ever look into as a solution for, you know what I mean? But I would just do what I can in other ways to make my child. But say if I'm a black or just a parent that can hear, right? And I found out that my baby is going to be deaf when they are born, and I could prevent my child from being deaf. Would it be wrong of me to then prevent my child from being deaf, even though there's a culture built around it? You know what I mean? Even though there's
well, I think that again comes back to I feel like what the non-hearing people wanted to do was connect with their child and be a part of their child's life in a way that they felt was more meaningful and easier to connect, so there wouldn't be this disconnection. Because like, at least in this case, if you just imagine like you're the only one in your house who can hear, it's like it's this new dimension that you then can't use in your house, and I feel like that could be very isolating. So I don't remember what I was saying anymore.
At home, that could be a hard thing.
Oh, but if you're a hearing person and your child is going to be deaf and you don't know sign language and that also creates a disconnect. So I feel like that would also that would make sense because that allows you to have a better connection with your child now,
I think most of the arguments against stuff like that are mainly like religious arguments, You want your child to be the way God created it,
whatever.
Well, here's a question then. So say, again, I know that some of us in the room do not want children, but say hypothetically you wanted to have a child, and you had like 10 to 15 different options that they could hypothetically help you create this, and ranging from poor genetics with high chances of, I don't know, disease, ranging all the way up to like this person has a very low chance, or this sperm has a very low chance of disease, this sperm has a very high chance of high intelligence and stuff. Do you think it's wrong then if you were given that choice to choose the quote-unquote best fertilized sperm egg combination, or would that be messing with things too much?
I mean, isn't that what they do?
Yeah, but then are you being prejudiced then against the ones that might turn out deaf or might turn out blind? Yes.
Does it cost money to get this layout in front of you? Because the moment it costs money, you're giving rich people an advantage, and that's what makes it wrong.
That's what I think
it
about.
already costs money to like there have been people that have changed like the eye color of their baby and stuff, and it costs them money.
I mean, but that's what I mean though, because like if we're all in a perfect world and we're all in this level playing field and you can pick, the smartest, strongest, most disease resilient baby, then I think that would be good, because then everybody could pick the strongest, bestest baby, and then there's fewer healthcare. Well, I mean, I don't think we would, because then we'd have smarter kids and they wouldn't do that. And I think getting smarter is good, but see, the problem is that we don't live in that bubble.
Yeah.
So only rich people would be able to pick the smarter babies, and
exactly.
then everything would be awful, actually.
So are we gonna have a future a couple hundred years from now where only the rich people can afford the best children, and all the poor people have all?
Oh boy, that's a good novel.
That's actually something I'd like to build upon.
It hasn't gotten to the point where they can they can do the intelligence thing and all that, but how far away is that? And we know it's gonna cost money because it costs money to change eye color.
Everything costs money.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
so
I don't know how far away it is.
But even from backtracking, if let's say then we're backtracking from this whole thing about like the economic divide. Say hypothetically anybody could just get like at no cost they get to choose the best out of like 10 choices. Would it be wrong to continue to get the best sperm and egg combinations?
It's before it's even a child. Like, you haven't even created the life yet.
But say, would that run deaf people, blind people out of...
Why are they not picking what they think is the best? They could still pick deaf people.
But the majority of people wouldn't, I don't think. You know,
I mean, they're right, but...
People would perceive that as a problem, or like as a...
Well, then that would, I mean... Black people would probably get eliminated too, because white people are gonna eliminate.
Well, but I don't see.
I'm not saying that. How many black people do you think, if they had a choice, would go back and make themselves white? You know what I mean?
I feel like that's a whole other conversation. Is that a thing that you feel a lot of people would do?
Yes,
yeah?
A lot of people.
Wow.
The way you would grow up, black people look at white people all the time. I know a lot of white people that I look at and go, now if I had grown up as you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so why would they not choose that for their children? You know? You're gonna eliminate every social, like, you're not just eliminating the physical disabilities, they're gonna eliminate all the social stuff too. All the social.
I don't know. I guess I just assumed that. I never thought about it that way. I've seen a lot of very fierce pride like that people have.
Oh yeah, there's always going to be that, but the majority are not going to choose to be black.
And then, if this cascades and you have all these like black families or hearing families, choosing to be cis white male babies, then the number of people who are going to like hold that cultural ground is going to shrink, and then more people are going to switch over, and I didn't think about it that way.
Crazy thing to think about, you know? Yeah, I just wondered, like...
I would choose to be black, though.
That's That's kind of why I was surprised when... I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, but I see a lot of people saying that, all over the place.
I mean, it's just kind of a... Do you really think that they would only get rid of the physical things, the mental disabilities, the disease?
Right.
Because there are white people that see us as a disease. Yeah. You know? Who says that they wouldn't figure out a way to make it that the next whole generation of black people looks white? You know? Or without us even being able to choose.
Maybe even just making more light-skinned
exactly.
black people, right? Like, could determine a lot of it, right?
Here's a thought. What if, so let's assume that when you do this, man, God, can I finish this? Because I think this is fun, because this is totally hypothetical.
Okay.
So let's say when you pick your best baby, quote unquote, it's a probability. So this is the probability that this will be the best sperm, yada, 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 whatever. What if your baby popped out and it wasn't what you wanted to be, and you sued? And you have this child now that you're suing that you don't want. That's your novel.
Oh, there we go. Because I actually would like to turn that into
a called Black Mirror.
Wow, really though? That would be a good episode.
No, wait, don't say that. Erase that. Strike it. No, I want that idea. No. Or what if you couldn't determine the race? Like, that was like the one rule to make sure that it doesn't get...
You roll the dice on the race.
You pick everything else and then it's like, all right.
It's just Yahtzee. Oh, you get a Puerto Rican baby.
You roll 2 dice and now you have to decide what 2 races to make.
Oh god, that would be really cool. Actually, like integration would just happen.
Wouldn't that like change racism forever?
It
like,
would.
I sure hope it would.
Oh my gosh.
Baby swap, like.
Well, as per last time, we have a little scripted advertise segment. It's something new that we're trying.
Did it just?
I wrote it up this time, and I'm sending it over the chat here.
Oh boy.
Oh gosh.
Here we go again.
Hey Amber.
Yes, God.
This isn't God speaking to you. This is Brian.
My second favorite non-corporeal being. What do you want, Brian?
Do you know how to read?
Read? What do you think I am? Some kind of pot-smoking, free-range, wine-sipping, flower power, non-protestant, gangly-haired hippie freakazoid. I am most of those things.
I won't answer that. But since you can't read, perhaps you can try Audible.
What's Audible?
That's my.
Oh, damn it.
What's Audible, Brian?
God, is that you?
This isn't God. This is Joe.
I can't think of a bigger letdown.
What is Audible, Brian?
I'm glad you asked. Audible is a way to enjoy books without having to do all the pesky reading. They have literally over 180,000 books that you can listen to anywhere and everywhere. Like one of my favorites, The Last Lecture by Randy Posh, especially if you use their free app. Some of the books are even read by celebrities.
Celebrities like the Jolly Green Giant?
Shut the up, Joe. That's a fictional character.
www.audibletrial.com/canyouNot.
What?
Oh, I just had a song stuck in my head, and that's the first lyric.
What an amazing coincidence. That's the URL our listeners should go to if they want to get a free audiobook with a free 30-day trial.
A truly stunning coincidence.
You said that a listener could go to www.audibletrial.com/canyouNot to get that offer?
Yes, that's what I said.
Sorry, I'm a bit hard of hearing in my right ear.
That's okay.
Shut the up,
I
Joe!
didn't say anything.
What did I just say, Joe?
Maybe we should go back to the rest of the show.
You need to give me this info sooner so I can write the next one.
Yes. And now I kind of feel bad that I made a hard of hearing joke, given what we were just talking about.
No. My ears actually ring, so.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it happened at.
You have tinnitus?
Yeah, I went to the concert that it happened at was the Front Bottoms at the Agora in October, and then I worked at a music venue, and that sure helped. I have a couple friends who really like maps.
Ooh.
And one of them...
Are they cartographers?
No.
Are they from Dora?
No. One of them is the meteorological science major, and the other one is graduating with electrical engineering. What up?
Nice.
Map friends. Okay, so they found this thing, this person found, it's called www.esri.com.
How do you spell that?
It's ESRI.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this interactive map. And what you could do is you could search by zip code. So I searched 44035, which is Elyria, Ohio. And it gives you, like, breakdowns of the population there.
Ooh,
so,
nice.
like, Elyria, Ohio, for example, has 19% Rust Belt traditions, 19% traditional living, and 9% comfortable empty nesters. And you can, like, scroll down and, like, read what all these things are. And it, like, gives you information like income and age and population density based on your zip code.
Wait, go back to age.
Age here is like these are families. Oh wait.
So does the lighter color indicate that it's...
So yeah, this is the median age is 40.2 for Elyria.
What about in our county?
What's your zip code, Joe?
44. Don't try and find me.
We're gonna read about where you live right now.
Maybe
So-
I'll bleep out the number. That way people will never know.
Oh, if you want. Okay, so it's modest income homes, family foundations, and social security site are all these different things.
Whoa,
so
we
like,
have a lot of modest income homes
Yeah,
here.
okay, so modest income home is mostly singles and single families.
I'm a single.
Okay, so even though our families may be non-traditional, our religious faith and family values guide our lives. We are singles parents are multi-generational families. Many of us are primary caregivers for our elderly relatives. Jobs are often hard to come by, so Social Security, public assistance, and Medicaid really help us scrape by. Many of us are living below the poverty level. We don't use credit cards and prefer to
relate to
pay our
that.
bills in person. Most are renting old school family... Oh no, it went away. Old school family houses in urban areas. To get around, we may own an older vehicle or take public transit. We play basketball, watch a lot of TV, and we will buy products endorsed by celebrities. Radios are tuned to gospel and R&B stations. That's where you live, Joe.
Ooh, try me.
Yeah,
Right
what's
there,
your...
I'm right
Oh,
there.
here?
I do like the R&B
You
stations.
should bleep out the last two numbers and have them guess what.
They get a cookie.
Maybe I'll do that.
Ooh, the top one's in style for you, Brian.
Whoa, in style. What kind of demographic is that?
Okay, so in style
Always in style.
is 30%, and household type is married couples with no kids, and housing is single family. It says we're professional couples or singles with strong work ethics and no kids. We embrace our urbane lifestyles that support the arts, travel, and extensive reading. To reflect our style, we focus on home maintenance and improvement. We'll undertake remodeling projects ourselves or hire contractors. Always connected, we carry smartphones and use many of the features. Healthy investment income boosts our wages and net worth. Well invested and well insured, we're already preparing for our retirement. When shopping, we check for the best prices and redeem
I'm
both
ready.
regular and mobile coupons for even better
Now,
deals.
they meant financially, not emotionally prepared for it.
But the age, let's see, what's your median age is 35.3, so you're younger than both my hometown where Joe's living.
Oh,
But Joe,
fancy.
what's Oberlin zip?
44074.
I wonder who's gonna live here. College kids, probably.
Yeah, college kids at the wazoo.
Yeah,
But let's see.
yeah. College
Yeah,
town.
college town.
Comfortable empty nesters, and what is Green Acres?
My parents won't be comfortable empty nesters for another 15 years, probably.
They're probably Green Acres. Wonder what. We're older, self-reliant married couples who are still working but edging towards retirement. Is that right?
Interesting.
Most of us has no children living at home. Not quite. We earn income from wages and salaries, investments, and increasingly Social Security benefits. Country life is for us. You'll find us in rural pockets of urban areas, living in older, blah, 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 blah. But I just thought this was really cool because it's this idea, what I was thinking of as far as topics go, where, like, do you think... I mean, obviously it does, because, like, people always talk about, oh, you know, a thing I've heard a lot is, like, people who watch football be like, Cleveland fans are crazy, right? So Clevelanders are crazy when it comes to football. Or, like, you know, the people talk about, you know, there's this certain, like, personality that comes with living in Manhattan and New York, and, like, all this other stuff. So I was just wondering, how much do you guys think that where you grew up influences the way you are, you know?
I think it determines a great deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, people in Cleveland always talk about the different neighborhoods and like the different traits that come out of
The east and the west side.
Yeah.
I mean, even like on the east side, there's like specific things. Like people always talk about like Heights people being like extra bougie. Even though I don't think we're bougie at all. But it's just, I mean,
He said that pouring a glass of champagne. I wish you could see this garbage.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, it breaks down to more than even that. Like your street.
Yeah, I mean, it determines the people that you are constantly surrounded by, your neighbors.
But,
and
like,
it
I guess,
determines your-
like, I know the
I mean,
people who you're around affect you, but, like, I don't know. When I was thinking about it, because I grew up in Elyria, like, it's like, I'm trying to pick out,
I mean,
I don't think it's
growing-
as much your neighbors now because like my parents always talk about how they knew like all their neighbors and stuff. Like their mom knew every house like up on their block and stuff. But like I live around a bunch of Jewish people and I have no idea who any of them are. So I think it's more like, okay, so I live in this area. Who am I going to school with? Who am I?
Yeah.
Who are my friends? Who am I?
Yeah, I just,
interacting with?
Where do we shop? Where do we go to the library?
What is around here?
yeah, I just, because when I'm thinking about Elyria, it's like, I didn't do anything, so maybe, like, there's literally, like, there's nothing in Elyria, so I don't know, like, obviously, like, having a good school helped, and, like, you know, getting good grades and working my way up through the good school helped, because I know a lot of people are really surprised when I say, like, that I had honors classes or AP classes or that kind of thing, but, like, the city itself, I don't
Maybe
know.
even the fact that you had nothing to do, like
I walked a
determined
lot,
right?
I wandered around in circles listening to
Right.
music,
And if you had grown up in the heart of the city, maybe there would have been more to do. I don't know. So maybe that determined it. I mean, I know I have a much higher tolerance for the smell of manure because
I remember going out to Oberlin for that week and feeling like I was breathing for the first time. There was like fresh air, and I was like, I can breathe.
Didn't you
And then
have a cold or something at the beginning of the weekend?
Yes.
Like a day later, it was cleared up.
It was gone. I was like, all I have to do is go to Oberlin whenever I'm sick, and it's the cure.
See, I just get mad allergies, like, everywhere I go,
Oh, yeah, I
especially
did it.
out.
By like the 4th day, I had awful allergies. Like, it was
yeah.
terrible. My eyes.
Yeah, I don't know, cause like I keep coming back to this because I'm not over it yet. Cause like for Illyria, it's like Rust Belt traditions, which traditional living and comfortable empty nesters, and it's like, what is this? None of this has anything to do with me. Maybe it influenced my desire to leave.
Yeah,
like,
that could be a good big
I
part of
don't
it, though.
know.
Like,
If you don't fit.
maybe
I
you
don't think anybody fits in Illyria. People get stuck there though, and they don't leave. It's weird.
maybe with Oakland, though.
Uncomfortable empty nester.
Very uncomfortable. Everybody's uncomfortable.
I mean, I grew up like in this weird mesh of like being not surrounded by anybody and then going to school in a small town and then also being close to a town that was like super progressive and artsy. So I think that had to have something to do with it because, I mean, even if you look at, I think environment determines almost everything.
Yeah.
I think that has to, I think there's a certain amount of genetics. I think there's a certain amount of how you are specifically raised.
Mm-hmm.
But I think your environment is just so crucial to how you experience literally every facet of your life.
I
right?
think
Like,
school influences it more like than
They're related
like
though.
literally where. Yeah, but like there are people like if I'm talking to my friend that lives in Cleveland Heights but went to I don't know Ignatius versus not even Ignatius, like what's a small private school?
How big is St. Ed's? That's the only other one I know.
That was pretty big too.
Pretty big. I don't know.
I don't know, but like even if I was talking to like my next door neighbor, right, who's Jewish, who goes to a school where at their high school their graduating class is probably like 50 people, or like when we talked about it, your graduating class is like 50 people, although you're a different area code, but like versus my graduating class being 800 people.
Oh,
Versus
yeah.
mine
You know
being
what I
like
mean?
400.
And
Yeah,
that's
in between.
my next door neighbor. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I feel
So
it. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I almost grew up in Grafton.
Oh,
That would have been weird.
would've been
I would have gone to
different.
Midview, and James and I probably wouldn't be friends because I would have known him freshman year.
Oh, yeah.
And I almost grew up in
because I
Paulding.
would have known him.
I almost grew up in Paulding. Can you imagine?
That'd be interesting too.
I would be a terrible person. I would not like
I've
me.
never heard of there. So
Paulding is Paulding. I don't remember the area code for
probably one of
Paulding in
those places
Ohio.
that they don't want black
Ooh, let
people
me-
to find out about.
Let me find the area code and I'll look it up.
But special thanks to Amber for mentioning this topic because it
Yeah,
was a
it's
very
a good
fruitful
topic.
one.
Hold on, I'm gonna find
got a lot
the
to
area
talk
code and
about.
I want to look it
I'm
up so I
glad
can tell you
Joe
about
came up with that.
45879.
That I came up with. Wait, what?
Your topic.
No, this is Amber's topic.
No, I meant your topic too.
The one that we talked for 20
I
minutes
see what you're
Because
ago.
saying.
mine
Yeah.
was like,
You were embarrassed of it enough that you don't want to talk about it.
yeah.
Come on, finish loading.
Well, Amber figures it out.
Where's
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got it?
Okay, so Paulding, Ohio. This is the border of Ohio. So we're like way over here.
Ooh, yeah. we
So
too-
like I
we
would
too
have
bad.
grown up with semi-retired with people with mortgages paid off. This Heartland communities. I don't know.
in the gut.
Like Salt of the Earth is another one. Traditional married couples concentrated in the Midwest.
Sounds fun.
Oh, they
like,
would've hated
traditional
me. They would've
living.
hated my black ass.
I think over there I've met one black person
Yeah, he
And
probably-
one-
he was like,
and one Mexican person.
he probably cries every day. They probably both.
I don't know if they're still there, but I only
I
visit,
hope
but
not.
like it's basically a Dairy Queen in the middle of a cornfield. Is the
Oh.
city, so
Oh,
figure out how to work a
I'm
tractor.
gonna pray for them. See, they deep in the guts of Ohio.
I'm not a fan.
Ohio.
I don't think I would. Well,
That's-
they're
that's
on the edge of
Ohio.
Ohio. They're like
yeah,
along
but
here
that's
somewhere.
that's too far south.
I hope you don't have any listeners in Paulding.
I mean, they can farm or nurse or whatever it is they're doing.
Move to Cleveland.
If you want to check out more episodes, you can go to soundcloud.com/CYN podcast or just the SoundCloud app. I never mentioned that. There's a SoundCloud app you can get that's perfectly accessible. Same with Facebook and Twitter. But if you want to go to our web version, it's facebook.com/CanYouNotPodcast or twitter.com/CYNPLZ. We also take any sort of feedback, suggestions, ideas, anything at canyonpodcast@gmail.com. We're always looking for sponsors, too. If you want to sponsor an
You want to
episode,
pay us money?
it's pretty cheap. We're cheapo.
I need dinner, y'all.
We also have fees just to keep the show on SoundCloud and host it on there. There is a fee for that. So
If you just want to throw money at us,
yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
If you like us.
Even if you don't like
you
us,
know
I'll still
you
take
like
the money.
us. Who wouldn't like us? We're adorable.
The people in politics, I'm just thinking, like, if any of them listen to this, I'm pretty sure they all think that I'm, like, a super weird city person anyway. So
See,
it's fine.
if they're listening, though, that means they probably should just move up here. 'Cause they
That's
probably
true. I don't know
like
what.
We're also on iTunes. And if you give us a rating, we'll read it on the show.
Look at this tiny little zip code in the middle
Is
here.
that a whole nother place?
Oh, God, where'd it go?
That place is probably even scarier. That is literally probably
Oh,
the
laddie.
place that they don't
What I
want
learned
black
today
people to
is
find out.
that Paulding is a very interesting part of Ohio.
It's
apparently.
green.
It's where my
I don't
family
wanna
lives. It's where my dad grew up.
Oh my god.
What did you learn, Brian?
What did I learn? I learned so much today. I learned I need to stay my behind out of Zoomies first. I also learned that we are headed toward a very dark place.
If we weren't already.
Yeah, we're just headed in a different direction.
I learned that I'm gonna write down the idea that we just had for a novel and send it to myself in the mail, and then when Joe's making tons of money with his I'm gonna pull it out and be like, nope, me first, and I'm gonna sue his ass and make all kinds of money. And that's my plan.
Oh,
that's my retirement plan now.
I have to come up with a different book idea.
She's gonna mail it to herself. That was the key.
Poor man's copyright,
Yeah,
because
poor man's
it's an official timestamp.
It's kind of a gray area sort of situation, but it sometimes works.
Sue your ass for all that you're worth.
And as for
Are you on LinkedIn?
Oh,
What are you doing, Joe?
As for
And our sponsor,
for a job
LinkedIn.
no. As for Amber, can you not sue me in the future?
No. Yes? Double negatives. Ah!
Not finesse me out of several $100s next time, Zoomies. Don't get me. No.
Can you please buy me one of those Bernie Sanders stickers?
Yes.
Don't, but maybe you shouldn't. I don't. You might
I'll
end up
send
spending.
Shelby at the store.
Good.
Bye.